Hi there, my name is Pommie Lutchman. I'm the founder and CEO of Ocular Technologies, a specialist customer engagement and digital experiences solutions provider based out of Johannesburg in South Africa. We have been intimately involved in the call and contact center industries for the last 18 years, and more recently, after becoming an IBM Watson partner, we have been building solutions around the conversational AI and chatbot space to integrate into our existing platforms. I'm here to talk to you today about conversational AI specifically and whether it is overly hyped or is it the holy grail when it comes to customer service and customer experience. In fact, so let us rewind a little bit to 2019. Back then, I asked a specific question: is AI really that intelligent? And specifically, what I was looking at is the people focus on the artificial side of it, but not so much on the intelligence side of it. And when we're building out these AI solutions, there are a number of key use cases. Google AI came up with a solution called Duplex, which allows you to basically simulate a human in terms of conversation and in terms of language. IBM Watson, which is our partner product, developed some really unique solutions back in 2016, 2017, 2018, which were then offered as services out to customers and partners like us, and we built solutions around those IBM Watson capabilities. There are other solutions out there, companies like AWS and even Google and a number of other players. There's more than 400 players in the AI space today. Have been doing amazing things where searching X-rays for carcinomas much more efficiently than what human doctors could do. Netflix and Amazon have these huge algorithms that are being developed and being scaled up in the AI space in order to give you recommendations. As an example, some of you guys might know, Microsoft Azure and Google and AWS Lex developed huge language models. And also in the Google space, I don't know if you guys remember, but a brand showed up a few years ago called Google DeepMind. And it started out as, I think, what it was rather gimmicky. If you've watched the documentary on Netflix some time ago called AlphaGo, Google DeepMind developed an AI solution and taught it how to play the game Go. And without giving away too much of the documentary, it was quite interesting to see how AI is morphing into something that could be used for a more real world scenario. More recently, Google DeepMind worked on a solution called AlphaStar, which without teaching it, is a strategy game called StarCraft 2 or StarCraft, and AlphaStar was developed by the Google DeepMind team to learn how to play a strategy game. So not teaching it what moves to do, but teaching it the underlying logic and intelligence about strategy games, and they fed it into AlphaStar, and it ended up beating a large percentage of human contestants or human opponents in the game. More recently, also back into 2019, I asked the question, like, how hard can it be? And one quote stuck out for me when it came to AI. The quote is, in order to make AI work, in order to make artificial intelligence work, we need to embrace it and steer it in the direction that we want. AI is not going to develop its own logic and just decide to go off and do things on its own. This was by Kevin Kelly, who was the co-founder of Wired, now Wired Online magazine. And when we're talking about AI, we're talking about very specific items, especially in the conversational AI space, that allows us to do things quickly and efficiently, and technically better than a human could. Also in 2019, we presented a solution that we built using the IBM Watson stack called Levi, And Levi is a natural language enabled, session managed, sentiment analyzed chatbot for Roman's Pizza, the Roman's Pizza chain in South Africa. And essentially, it was a solution that we built around IBM Stack. We called it the multimodal conversational AI platform with IBM Watson. Like I said, the customer was Roman's Pizza. The goal and the solution that we built was a natural language chatbot, which was specifically used to enhance customer experience. The problem statement from the customer back then was a high volume of customer queries, customer service queries. The customer service staff themselves were stretched to capacity, working strange hours of the day, every day, including weekends and public holidays. And the other issue is that some queries that were being presented to the brand was only being responded hours later, if not days later sometimes. So what we built was Levi. It's a natural language enabled, like I said, sentiment analyzed, text-based pizza bot running on Facebook Messenger, on the website, and in the process of being integrated into the online ordering system. What we presented back then was the solution was around 3 months of development time. We went technically live in December of 2018. At the time, we had about 1,500 unique monthly users, and on a weekly basis, we were just increasing. We ramped up the web component, etc. More recently, we've done some changes, which I'll chat about a bit later. The results of the solution, more than 90% of our answers are now being handled by Levi, automated without any human intervention. The wait time has gone down from 6 to 8 hours of average down to 0 seconds because Levi answers pretty much immediately. And very importantly for the brand, what happened was the work-life balance of the staff and the people that were engaging with these queries moved more to a 50-50 work-life balance, where they could concentrate a lot more on their personal lives and not so much on their customer service obligations. And for us, that was probably the biggest benefit out of the platform. So let's fast forward to 2021 and let's see what we've done in 2021. There's been a few changes, and let's just talk about this environment that we find ourselves in. The market around what we would call intelligent virtual assistants or bots is expected to reach about $45.1 billion by 2027. It's a compounded annual growth rate of about 34%. It's one of the largest growing markets in the world today. When we're talking about intelligent virtual assistants or bots, we're talking about any digital assistant that you do on chat, on voice, on SMS, on WhatsApp, WeChat, any of those capabilities, on web. We're talking about automated virtual assistants, including voice devices that are linked to things like Alexa devices, Amazon Echo devices, and Google Home devices, and Apple devices, etc. Virtual digital assistants where you could ask it a question, for example, a bank digital assistants where you could get your credit card balance, you could request authorizations, etc. And then the more intelligent stuff like Levi, where we're talking about chatbots and voice bots and text bots. We like to call them at Ocular digital employees, because essentially you're training your domain-specific information into a digital environment and having the digital interface deal with those queries. So they're an employee, they just don't have the same issues you sometimes have with employees out there. The other thing is that there's a big drive towards this move, $45 billion worth of revenue move in the space. Key is businesses are facing loss through poor customer service, non-contactability, the ability not to deal with queries on an efficient and accurate timeline. Obviously, cost saving, given what's happened with COVID over the last 2 years, year and a half. Companies and brands are looking at cost saving, which are not human-based, because human-based contact center services themselves have been hit particularly hard with regards to COVID and lockdowns and social distancing, etc. There's also, there's limited freedom to act beyond the prepared scenarios in the customer service arena. And what we're talking about is the old school IVRs, where you get an option to press 1 for this and 2 for that, and it routes to a specific team or a specific skill. It's a prepared scenario. So there hasn't been a lot of flexibility, even over the last 15 or 20 years, around how to route yourself around in terms of a self-service capability. And then most importantly, end users vote with their feet. They go to the environments that give them the better customer experience. Things like accuracy, time to resolution. If a person contacts your brand via a chatbot, and immediately you can identify that their service has been suspended, or that they have not paid their monthly payment, and you do it up front, it could actually provide a better customer experience than them having to go through multiple menu items, etc., to be able to do that. The other thing about bots, and this is more recent research, about 86% of worldwide CEOs says AI is the mainstream technology in their office in 2021. And whether it's through a bot technology, whether it's through some sort of reporting capability, whether it's through some environment that allows us to read data sets using AI and machine learning, there is some sort of mainstream technology in the office. In 2022, companies are expected to have an average of 35 AI projects in place, which is huge. 75% of executives fear going out of business within 5 years if they don't scale AI. And lastly, things like Netflix's recommendation engine, which is powered by AI, is actually worth about $1 billion a year to the brand, to the company. There's some very recent 2021 stats. Also, there's been some developments in the conversational AI space in 2020 and 2021. For those of you guys that don't know, that are in this space and haven't worked with the capability, a brand called Rasa is an open source framework, a machine learning framework that allows you to provide automated text and voice-based conversations. What is unique about, two things that is unique about Rasa is, one is there's an open source capability that allows developers like us to be able to consume the services and the capabilities that Rasa offers. But more importantly, it can be done in any language that you require. You can actually train your own language model using the Rasa capability, and we've been playing around with this for quite a while, and we're busy with a project at the moment where we're actually developing a new language model for one of our text bots, our chat bots. So I encourage you to look at Rasa. The other thing that has also was big in the news was OpenAI's GPT-3. And GPT-3 is essentially a language model with over 175 billion parameters. And just by comparison, GPT-2, which was its predecessor, had something like 15 billion, if I remember correctly. So it's really elevated the ability for us to be able to provide language-based services, digital language-based services, in a completely new dimension. These are just some of the more recent developments. More importantly, in 2020, transitioning into 2021, IBM Watson has done, the IBM Watson team has done a lot of development around making things a lot more user-friendly and accessible to developers like us and partners like us. Specifically, Watson Assistant has really evolved. They have created tools within the toolkit, within the tool set, that pushes first contact resolution. Specifically, you now have the ability to connect via phone and SMS and WhatsApp directly within the IBM Watson stack. It's got a much better intent recognition model. There's a home screen that has been developed by the IBM Watson team, which you can basically reskin and put out into your environment quite quickly. And there's also better automation around some of the first contact resolution capabilities. What they've also done is provided some self-service capabilities within the customer care stack. So within the toolset of the IBM Watson Assistant, you have the ability to do pre-event and post-event webhooks, where you can preempt the conversation by asking something digitally, and even after the interaction has ended, you could do something using a webhook to offer, for example, post interaction surveys or post chat surveys, etc. So they've expanded the tool set to allow us to do webhooks. From that capability, you can also log your conversations via webhooks, etc. And there's a bunch of service desk integrations that allows us to expand the customer care stack within the IBM Watson Assistant. And then the other development also is scaling the intent model and scaling the language models away from just being frequently asked questions and what we call a fact bot. Things like actions are now available. The coverage and containment data metrics, as I'll show you just now, has been expanded within the IBM Watson stack, and also a bunch of new languages have been enabled. So specifically regarding IBM Watson, there's been a real push towards making it more encompassing in terms of what we can do with it in the real world. So let's get back to the question. I answered it right up front. In our view, it's not overly hyped. It's most definitely the holy grail. It's the thing that we want to do. We want to push conversational AI. We want to push conversational chatbots and text bots. We want to push also specifically things that won us all these awards in the last year to 18 months. We won 3 international awards out of using Levi, the original version of Levi. One of those being the AI Expo Africa 2019 award. But specifically, about conversational AI, why do we consider it the holy grail? It's no longer science fiction. You're not speaking to a computer up in the sky, in a sci-fi movie. We are doing what consumers are now doing. Conversational AI is now doing what consumers interact with daily in their homes, on your Amazon Echo and Google Talk devices, on your phone devices with regards to Siri and all of the other capabilities. So what we're doing with conversational AI is we're expanding that into the real world. In your home, in your offices, on the go, in your car, in your vehicle, etc. Specifically, the issue I think with conversational AI is that it makes up a very crowded and confusing enterprise market, and because there's many bot solutions and bot versions out that don't necessarily talk to each other. This is where IBM Watson comes into its own. It's the most feature-rich, cost-effective platform for building AI solutions, and we've seen the benefit of our solutions that we put out into the market. But don't just take it from me. Take it from Forrester. Forrester did a study last year in March of 2020 is when it was published, and using a composite company which they built using a bunch of data sets. And this composite company had $10 billion worth of revenue, $10 billion worth of revenue, about 40,000 global employees, and 1 million monthly conversations. They did some quantitative analysis around how conversational AI benefited the brand. And the quantitative findings are there was a saving of $5.50 per conversation, which equated over 3 years to $13 million worth of savings. By correctly routing conversations based on preempting and pre-identification via the chatbot, via the automated solution, they save $7.25 by correctly routing. By enhancing agent capability, live agent capability with a chatbot, they reduced handle time by 10%, which equated to a saving of about $1 million. And employee self-service specifically provided a 40% containment of the facility within the bot, and reassignment of about 40 HR and IT help desk within the environment, totaling savings of about $3.2 million. Non-quantitative findings out of the report, and please at the end of the presentation use my contact details, drop me a line, I'll gladly send this report to you. The unquantitative findings that they found was that a self-service digital first experience provides a competitive advantage. Agent experience drastically improves if you've got a bot that is enhancing their capability. Watson Assistant specifically can be integrated to multiple channels that are being used by customers. Watson adds easily the capability of 20 to 30 human bodies. within your environment, and constant 24/7 365 automated coverage like we found with Levi and Roman's Pizza reduces the time to resolution, provides customers when they need it, and increases brand perception. So again, don't just take it from us in terms of it being the holy grail. There's definite advantages for their capability. Just some stats very quickly. The study synopsis outcome came into 4 items. They looked at ROI, which was up by 337% based on the amount of money that was spent doing the solution. The benefits across the bottom line was about $23.9 million of savings that they got out of it. It increased the value of the company by about $18.4 million, and payback was less than 6 months. Again, these are actual stats out of the report, which can actually show you why you should be looking at some sort of conversational AI solution. Very quickly, let's just talk about what makes a successful bot solution. The assistant must allow for natural interaction, so natural language understanding and natural language processing is important. If you're doing voice, make sure you're capturing speech first time instead of asking, sorry, I didn't understand what you said. Please repeat the utterance. Make sure that you have a good voice and speech recognition engine. Always provide a graceful exit. If something goes wrong with the bot, offer the customer the option to exit out of it and go to a live agent or disconnect it or send an email, etc. System training and tuning is essential. We're consistently doing a lot of training on our bot capability, and if you have something that does sentiment analysis, it's a big plus. We build our bots with human agent commercial acumen, so we use the domain specific information from human agents and we build it into the bot. And like I said, possible ROI with the first year, Forrester said in 6 months. And the 3 use cases that use it the most is customer care, banking, and technical support. So let's just talk very quickly. We spoke about Levi. We built it in 2018 into 2019. It's been running for quite a while. And now we have new technologies. We've got new capabilities. So how did we perfect Levi? With any conversational AI solution, the biggest issue that you have is very much like a starting out relationship, understanding what the other person is saying. And once you get that capability, get that understanding, you have a lot more going for you in terms of how you're building your conversational AI solution. So understanding the logic of conversation is very, very important. IBM Watson does this quite successfully. We work on a natural language process capability where we identify things like sentiment based on keywords and based on certain things, the way that words and sentences are construction, the lemma, the categorization, etc. Once we process those language components, we then go into a natural language understanding capability. So we've taken those things that we've identified from the NLP solution and we build out things like the intent. What is the customer or the person intending to do from this conversation? We build out the entities like a bus, a car. So you're working for a transport mechanism. Do you want to travel by car? Do you want to travel by bus? Do you want to travel by plane? Those are what we call entities. In our pizza bot, the entities within are things like the menu items, the store locations, etc. So the natural language understanding takes what you've processed in terms of language and puts it into a logical framework. And once you have the understanding of the language, you create a flow. And within the flow, there's a couple of components involved. There's a state machine that manages the state of the conversation. We retain information in that state machine because we want to do things like contextual transfer. For example, if a person has interacted with the bot and now they need to speak to a human, we want to transfer the context of the conversation to the human as well. And we're doing that quite successfully with our IBM Watson solution as well. And then obviously the script, do you want the agent or the live agent and the bot to be sort of the same, and you build the script around the language and the conversation flow that you want to do. Very importantly, for anybody that's building bots, Marshall McLuhan, back in the early 1900s, came up with the concept, the medium is the message. And basically what this means in our conversational AI solutions is you can't just design one conversation flow for all of your channels. The Facebook Messenger is very rich because it has the ability to do video and text and pictures and carousels, etc. Whereas WhatsApp and WeChat have a very limited way of providing rich text, but very rich text itself. So depending on how you're building your solution, take the medium into account. Make sure that your conversations are built specifically for different media types. Build it out in different mechanisms, providing the same logic but with different messages. So it's very important to retain the idea that the medium is the message. So what did we do with Levi? We call it the 2K21 update. So this is what we did. We specifically did a lot of work on the nuts and bolts of the solution. We deprecated our cloud apps that were running in Cloud Foundry on IBM Cloud, and we migrated those solutions up into Red Hat OpenShift on containers, and we now have a managed Kubernetes cluster that we are running Levi under. We've also moved the session management from a specific Cloud Foundry app down into our cloud routing platform, runs on Ocular Cloud. And then we also moved our reporting and analytics specifically to our Ocular Cloud routing platform. From a analytics perspective, we deprecated, I'm sure those of you guys that have been working with Facebook Messenger and Facebook itself, Facebook Analytics has now been deprecated from the 1st of July. So we had to implement a workaround, and our workaround is now we're moving all of our data into our OConnect, our Ocular Cloud contact routing platform. And now we have cradle to grave session management and cradle to grave reporting, because it's now sitting within a session manager contact routing platform. And then over and above that, we introduced Watson Assistant Analytics to measure things like the containment rate, as in how long and how much as a percentage of the people that contacted the bot stayed within the bot and had their issue resolved, and obviously coverage. How much of your entire conversation stack are being dealt with by the bot before it actually goes over to a human. So we implemented that quite recently. And then in terms of our actual orchestration, we changed our surface orchestration engine to provide more granular terms. When we launched Levi, you could ask for a menu item and you could ask for a special, but you couldn't ask for specific ingredients, as an example. So I would like a pepperoni pizza. It wouldn't give you that response. We've now included that in our most recent update. And we've also now got enhanced stores location using IBM Watson Discovery, which is a machine learning platform that allows you to search and crawl domain-specific information. So we've added Watson Discovery, the machine learning engine, to the capability. And then obviously we trained Watson Assistant to identify people that are using mobile devices on free mode, because free mode doesn't allow rich text and rich data, rich media. So then we respond in text only if Watson Assistant identifies free mode specifically. So we've just gone live with Levi 2K21. It's been just over a week and a half, and we're very glad to say that the system is running swimmingly on the platform using our new capabilities. In conclusion, let me just tell you what Levi does. For those of you that haven't seen Levi, it's a text bot. It's available on Facebook Messenger. It's available on their website. We're due to roll it out into some other channels quite soon. But here's an example where we say hi to Levi. Levi says, "Hi, I'm Levi, your Roman's pizza connoisseur. As an expert in matters of taste, you can ask me anything. Go ahead and try it." So like I said, it's natural language enabled. We can say, "Where's my nearest store, closest store? Do you have a store in Randburg, etc." So it's completely open-ended. And then we say, "Romans has pictures in all 9 provinces. If you share your location with me, I can direct you to your nearest store." Depending on your device capability, you may or may not be able to send location, but in case you do, we can see the nearest. I'm at St. Stithians, and the nearest branch can be provided in a carousel capability, as in Ferndale and Randburg and Malibongwe, as an example. You can also click to call from within the interface, and if you click call, it'll place an outbound call using your actual phone device. If you decide to click on the address, it'll open up Google Maps, whatever your Maps application is on your device, and it'll give you directions to be able to go to the capability. We've done a lot more enhancement, like I said, very recently, with regards to the menu items, the specials, the granularity of what Levi can offer you in terms of its capability. But I encourage you guys to go onto Facebook Messenger or to go onto Roman's Pizza today and have a look at what we've done with the most intelligent pizza bot in the world. If you need to contact me, my mobile number and my email address is up there, I'm available on all social media, including LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Clubhouse. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the AI Expo Africa 2021. Thank you very much.